Yeah.
That's a motherfucking no-no. It's just another episode. Get your popcorn ready. We let the chopper explode. Hold the trigger finger steady. We gon' handle our business. Handle our business. Yeah. Handle our business. Get the fuck up out your feelings. Handle our business. Handle our business. Handle our business. Get the fuck up out your feelings. Just another episode. Yeah. Get your popcorn ready.
Popcorn ready.
We let the chopper explode. Hold the trigger finger steady. Give a fuck about a hater.
Yo. What's up? Make some noise. My youngest, my OGs, welcome to the hottest show in town. It's time to step into the crib where the game is real, the talk is real, and the host is none other than Triple Beam. Welcome to the crib. First of all, guys, in the Showbiz Central, they get their first win of the season over Kenton.
That's a motherfucking no.
28-13. Quarterback Williams, 9 of 19, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kai Gaddis, 9 carries, 31 yards, a touchdown. Thompson had 1 catch, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. And wide receiver Hathorne had 3 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown. On the defensive side, Hoffman led the team with 12 tackles for the Rockets, and the Rockets get their first win of the season, 28-13. Now, my takeaway from that game, the show was just a better team. Canton, they're not very good. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna give credit to the Showbiz Central. They did what they're supposed to do. I'm not gonna say that Canton was not a good team because I saw flashes. They was able to get 13 points. But what I will say is at the end of the game, it's almost like they gave up too soon. You know what I mean? And the same thing I'm gonna say for Neshoba. It's almost like you thought that you won the game so fast. This is what happened at West Lauderdale. When you got the lead at West Lauderdale, you come out instead of relying on your running game, moving the chain, getting first downs, you come out throwing the ball, doing all this, stopping the clock, creating turnovers, you allow West Lauderdale to get back into the game. This is similar to what they was doing the second half of this game against Ken. You got the game locked up. Why are you coming out passing the ball, which, in my opinion, they're trying to pad the stats of the quarterback, Williams. He was 9 for 19, he had 2 touchdowns, 142 yards. That's what they're trying to seem like is what they're trying to do late in these games. Bro, win the game. You got a running game. Rely on that at the end of games. The passing game is for the first half of these games, man. When you got these games wrapped up, rely on your running game. Let the clock be your friend. You see what I'm saying? What happened in this game, 28-13, it's only a 2-possession game. It's late in the fourth. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You take your starters out. Meanwhile, these boys, they got their starters in. Actually, it was a 3-possession game when they scored that touchdown. They gave them 13. Okay, but Canton, they not like me. Their coaching staff ain't like me because Neshoba had their JV in the game. I would have kept my starters in. I kicked that onside kick. If they had to recover that onside kick, I'm telling you, that game, it could have been a loss. I'm telling you right now. It was only like 3-4 minutes left, but it's only a 2-possession game. If Canton keep their starters in, I guarantee you they cut it to a 1 possession with maybe like a minute left. Like, you can't do that, bro, in these types of games, man, especially when you hadn't even won a game yet. You got to make sure you wrap it up. Keep your starters in the game. Like, like your starting quarterback in that type of game, your starting quarterback should have been the one kneeling down at the end of the game with the victory celebration, not your backup or your JV. Like, no, it wasn't no blowout. You know what I'm saying? It was competitive a lot of the game. You know what I mean? Which I think the Neshoba had control of the game for most part. But at the same time, in the end, it could have went either way. So I'm just saying, man, pump the brakes on taking those starters out. Rely on your running game. I think Mekhi is could be one of the good, the better running backs, in high school. So you need to rely on that. Now I heard that he might not be 100%, but he scored the only rushing touchdown of the game. And it was early, gave him the early lead. So, I mean, like, rely on your running game in those type of situations. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I'm different, I guess. I don't know. Philadelphia, they moved to 1-3 after losing to West Lauderdale. So we're going to go to the Philly news. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm just going to be 100. I'm going to be 100 with you right now. It is really, really quiet on the football front when it comes to the Philadelphia Tornadoes and the Neshoba Central for that matter. But for Philly, it's eerily quiet. Like, you don't hear a lot of chirping on Facebook. You don't hear a lot of the fans. Like, it's real, real quiet in Tornado country when it comes to the Philadelphia Tornadoes this year. And they are 1-3 on the season. I just know in times past, if they put up a performance like this, now I don't know what about if it's the expectations. They're not expecting a lot from this group. I don't know. But for me, it's real quiet. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I'm just calling like I see it. The Tornadoes are 1-3 after losing to West Lauderdale. The West Lauderdale Knights thwarted the visiting Philadelphia Tornadoes football team by a count of 40-26 in Friday's non-league game. With the win, West Lauderdale upgraded its record to 4-1 on the season. And like I said, Philadelphia, they moved to 1-3. The Knights traveled to League Central to play the Gators in the 4A Region 4 outing on Friday, the 29th. With the loss, Philadelphia, I said 1-3. I'm sorry. Philadelphia is 1-4 on the season. The Tornadoes go to JZ George comes to Philly. And in a Region 2 4A game on Friday, September 29th. And so that's what's happening right there with the Tornadoes. They play JZ George on Friday in the first division game of the season. Now, like I said, West Lauderdale, we knew that, West Lauderdale beating the Neshoba, you know what I'm saying? They are a higher class than Philadelphia. Philly's 2A. I think the Neshoba's a 6A. And, West Lauderdale was able to beat Neshoba. So obviously I didn't expect Philly to beat West Lauderdale. And they actually played them decent. You know what I'm saying? When I look at the score, 40-26, they was able to put up 26 points. That's, the bright side of it. I wouldn't expect them to hold West Lauderdale, maybe 35, 40, maybe a extra touchdown. But I mean, who's counting? Philly has suffered some injuries last week. I just heard Jacameron Jay, he's out for the season with I think he had a meniscus tear. So he's out for the season for the Tornadoes, one of their key players there. I don't know what's going on with the offense at Philly. I hadn't been at the games per se to see what's going on. I heard they did did some little maneuvers on offense at the quarterback position and wide receiver position. I don't know how that's going to work long term. I don't know if that's something that they're going to look to do long term, or if it was just something that they just did for that moment in that particular game. But we'll be paying attention to what's going on as the Tornadoes move into district play. Now, with that being said, we'll move to some college football. Mississippi State moves to 2-2 after losing its conference matchup to South Carolina 30-37, just by a measly 7 points, which covered the 6.5 point spread, by the way. But the brightest star on the field was wide receiver and former Philadelphia Tornado wide receiver Tulu Griffin. The stat line was crazy: 7 catches, 256 yards on the touch. Has to be a school record, even though at this particular time when I wrote this, I hadn't checked the books, but yes, it's a record. It's a record for the single game receiving yards in a game in the regular season for Mississippi State. Tulu Griffin is now the record holder at Mississippi State with 256 receiving yards. Tulu didn't need 60 minutes. He didn't even need 40 minutes to break the Mississippi State single game record for most receiving yards in the game. Griffin is sitting at 6 receptions at 245. With 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter, he had 245 yards and 6 catches against South Carolina. Will Rogers and Griffin have done most of the work in that game to keep that game relatively close. But the 56. The 256 yards surpasses Jamian Lewis's mark of 220 receiving yards set in 2013. Now, what does that mean? Guys, what does that mean? Tulu with the record for Mississippi State in receiving yards, and I think that's totally awesome. It's absolutely. When you think about it, and Tulu had a tough go from my eyes at Mississippi State. It's almost like, they was trying to keep a little bit of a, govern on, what he was able to do and the opportunities that he was able to get. In this particular game, he made good on pretty much all of his opportunities, turning one into a touchdown, accumulating, over 250 yards and getting that school record and putting his name, which name been on the map. But obviously, now, amongst my people, we are talking about, draft status, you know what I'm saying, and projections, you know what I'm saying. So, we're gonna look at that. We're gonna see how that goes. You can also look at the award for, receiver in college football. I mean, I think that's the Blitnikoff Award. I think that's the receiving award for receivers in the best receiver in college football. But you look at it, and with that type of performance, it has to put you in those types of conversations. Like, you got the record now at the school. Like, this is history. You're in the history books right now. You know what I'm saying? So now these conversations are to be had. I heard people saying maybe 5th round, you know what I'm saying? But after that performance, you got to be talking 3rd, 4th round right now. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, like, it's not many other receivers that's as explosive. Now, you have a lot of guys that's bigger, even the guy from South Carolina. I mean, he's a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and he kind of they had Alshon Jeffries there for South Carolina coming back, visiting the school, and he was on the sideline for South Carolina. One of the receivers that came out of their school. And he kind of remind you maybe of Alshon Jeffries. He's a big guy, had that big catch radius. You know what I'm saying? And I think there may be a knock on Tulu, but he has that home run potential, and that offsets that potential of that catch radius. And then you have guys in the league right now, guys like Tyreek Hill, you know what I'm saying, who is, which the Dolphins, they just put up 70, you know what I'm saying? So, that is going to open up a lot of these GMs, a lot of these scouts' eyes into the potential and what Tulu brings to the table. So, I mean, it's big time. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on the performance for Tulu, the 250-plus yard receiving game? And now the single game receiving yards record holder for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Make some noise. Bowers catches 2 of Beck's 3 scoring passes to power number 1 ranked Georgia past the UAB Blazers 49-21. Head coach of Georgia Bulldogs Kirby Smart says players like tight end Brock Bowers have made it possible for him to have the best 100-game start of any coach in SEC history. Tight end Bowers caught 2 of Carson Beck's 3 touchdown passes, including a 41-yarder that helped the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs overcome a sluggish start and eventually beat UAB 49-21 on Saturday night. For the Blazers, quarterback Zeno was productive, but couldn't match his average passing totals in first-year head coach Trent Dilfer's offense. Zeno, a 6'4" junior, ended the game 5th in the nation with 318.7 passing yards per game. Oh, that's a stat that I didn't realize. So you had Geno going into the game against the number 1 ranked team. He was 5th in the country with 318 passing yards per game. He threw for 250 yards, 32 of 51, 2 tubs, and 1 interception. Zeno added 8 carries, 22 yards, and a 3-yard touchdown run. Our hometown Philadelphia, Mississippi player for the Blazers, Joker Gill, he got some burn versus the number 1 team in the country on ESPN2 on Saturday night. Out of the 76 defensive snaps, I estimated that Joker played about 20 or so snaps for UAB. That's about 26% of all defensive snaps. And I did get to see Joker out there on the field. He looked good out there. I mean, it didn't get on the stat sheet, but they didn't really run to his side. And they moved him from one side to the other. I noticed he started out on the right side of the defensive line. And when I first saw him out there, and they kind of ran away from him. On one play, he actually pressured Beck. And I think that was the play where Beck threw the interception, if I am not mistaken. But then they put Joker on the other side. And, it just seemed to me that they were running away from Joker Gill. And I don't know. Just as my initial thoughts on that, and I didn't go back and I didn't just break it down and analyze it, but to me, they was running away from, the plays were not going to his side. So Georgia, the slow start probably wasn't enough to drop the Bulldogs from the number 1 spot in the top 25, but the turnovers and misfires did not make for the smooth performance that the head coach wanted. Georgia's defense delivered another strong effort, even though the Blazers with 2 touchdowns matched the most allowed by the Bulldogs this season. Up next for the Blazers, they will play in the ACC conference game against Tulane this Saturday after making the move from Conference USA. And Georgia, who won the SEC opener over South Carolina 24-14 on September 16th, they begin a string of 7 straight SEC games when they go to Auburn this Saturday. And I will be talking about Auburn a little later in the show. Make some noise. Let's go. Here we go.
That's a motherfucking no-no.